All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So yesterday was absolutely nuts. When we take a look at what the New York Jets were able to accomplish, I mean, not only did this team add talented players, but these guys are all coming in at huge positions of need, and their scheme fits. And by the way, on top of that, they're bringing over a ton of leadership. And that's something that I feel like this Jets team really needs. I mean, we don't have that many, veteran leaders on this squad, outside of a couple guys, of course, like CJ Mosley and whatnot. And by the way, we also were able to retain a couple of our own players in Braxton Berrios and Tevin Coleman. I thought Berrios was for sure going to be hitting the open market, but at the end of the day, he comes back to the green and white on an extremely team-friendly deal. 2 years, $12 million. Are you kidding me? Sign me up every day of the week. But in this one, I wanted to talk about some of the players to watch in day two of free agency, because as we all know, free agency doesn't slow down for anybody. It could, news could break at any given second. And by the way, we actually saw DJ Chark signed that 1 year contract. It was 1 year, $10 million with the Detroit Lions, maybe like 15, 20 minutes ago here. I really like that deal from Detroit's perspective. I would have preferred maybe a 2 to 3 year contract, but it is what it is. I'm looking at what the Jets can do today, right? There's a couple more moves that could be made to help round out this roster before we get to the NFL draft, which is going to be absolutely pivotal. But let's go through it position by position. And there's really only 3 positions that I do want to talk about here that I feel like are extremely important, or at least we got to get some talent in before the start of the NFL draft. And let's start with safety. Marcus Williams, obviously the biggest name, arguably the biggest free agent name still out there. Maybe, of course, Chandler Jones and Von Miller, but man, you take a look at what Marcus Williams has been able to accomplish during his time in New Orleans. It has been nothing but stellar. I mean, he is one of the best safeties in the entire National Football League. That's not a stretch to say. Incredible range, great size, 6'1". He could play in tons of different defensive looks, never has to come off the field in the back end. 25 years old. I think the best is yet to come with Marcus. He would come in and be a great system fit. Supposedly, the Jets love this guy, but the catch is that because, he's one of the best safeties in the entire league, he's commanding a ton of money. It will probably take a mega deal to land Williams. Okay, it's the supposed, or the rumor right now with the annual money is $15 million a season. Okay, so I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I think that sounds about right. I look at Detroit. Okay, as a team, I mean, you look at the Aaron Glenn connection. He came over from New Orleans. Anzalone, Dan Campbell, all these different. It's almost like the Detroit Saints, right? I think Marcus Williams will be a huge, will be considering Detroit. I think obviously they have a lot of money to spend. He could be an option there, and we all know Joe Douglas is a guy to not really hand out mega deals, right? He's kind of opted to go for maybe the bargain or maybe like the tier 2 types of players, or the bargain route, as opposed to just shelling out hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So Marcus Williams is going to be an interesting name to watch moving forward. But if the Jets can't land him, I wouldn't be surprised if we take a look at Tyrann Mathieu, right? There was that rumor earlier in the week that we talked about, where the Jets could have some interest in Honey Badger. And man, and I said this in that video, like Tyrann's been in the league for years. Like I feel like I've been watching Mathieu for 20 years, right? I remember him back with the Cardinals, back at LSU. Like, he's been flying around making plays for a long time. I thought he was like 33 years old, 34. In reality, he's only 29. That blew me away when I found that out. And I feel like he would just bring, I think the pros outweigh the cons with Tyrann, right? Because you can make an argument, hey, he's seen a lot of football. He's been in a ton of games. There is a lot of mileage there. But you could also say, to kind of counter that, well, what's wrong with a 2-year contract? What's wrong with a 3-year deal? We don't necessarily have to hand out a 5-year deal to the safety spot, right? Look at what the Chiefs just did with Justin Reed. In fact, replacing Tyrann Mathieu with Justin Reed. They brought him in on a 3-year deal. So I think the Jets, if they want to target a guy in Tyrann Mathieu, they could definitely do that. And I wouldn't be opposed to a shorter deal. I think it would really upgrade this team on the back end. Next up, cornerback, Dante Jackson from the Carolina Panthers. This is a guy who I feel like is being underrated right now, and he could be had at a cheaper price than a J.C. Jackson or a Carlton Davis. I look at Jackson in zone coverage. He's been electric. I feel like, coming in as kind of a middle round, that's that middle round pick for Carolina. He has been asked to do a lot, and Is he a top level corner? Is he one of those upper echelon top 5, top 10 guys? No, but he's definitely solid. He's solid, and I think he's an upgrade over what we currently have. I view him as a starting day one outside guy. Now, of course, the Jets, have been linked to Ahmad Gardner over these past couple of weeks, so we'll see what happens there. But if Dante Jackson could be had at a reasonable price on a multi-year deal, I would love bringing him in. I really would. I'm a big fan of him. I loved him back at LSU, and just an agile. He's quick on his feet. He's an agile player. He gets his hands in there to disrupt passes. I really like Dante Jackson. Next up, let's really address Stephon Gilmore here too, because there has been like a ton of buzz, a ton of smoke surrounding Gilmore to the Jets. The Jets could be a finalist. At the end of the day, I just don't think it happens. I feel like Gilmore is going to be going back to the West Coast, whether it's with the Raiders. There's been some talk with the 49ers. Do the 49ers bring him in, though, because they just added Ward, right, from the Chiefs? So I think right now, if I had to say, I would probably go with Vegas, but who knows? Maybe he's in the Jets' plans. He would definitely come in and be an instant upgrade as that CB1, but he's 31 years old. I think he would be a little bit more expensive than a Dante Jackson and some of the other guys that we're going to be talking about here. But who knows? Again, stranger things have happened. We'll see how it all plays out with Stephon Gilmore. I'm just not really getting my hopes up. I think he's going to be a Raider when it's all said and done. Next up, Trey Herndon from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this would be a solid depth piece. Again, much like Dante Jackson, he's not going to come down and start come over to Florham Park and start lighting up number one wide receivers and putting up top 5 numbers. I definitely like the potential. I like the size. I like the speed. And coming in as an undrafted free agent years ago with the Jacksonville Jaguars, he pretty much contributed right from get-go, right from the jump. And I look at a guy in Robert Saleh who's really done a good job throughout the course of his career, of course, like last season with the Jets with Michael Carter, Bryce Hall, and even Eccles to a certain degree. But, going back to San Francisco, going back to, those Seattle Seahawks days, the defensive back development has always been there. And I look at Trey Herndon as a guy who has a skill, he has a lot of potential, a lot of untapped potential. I don't think we've seen the best of him as of right now, and he could be had at a minimal price tag. When we're comparing that to guys like J.C. Jackson and everything like that, is he an upgrade over guys like Bryce Hall? I wouldn't go that far as to say that, but I do feel like he would be on somewhat of a similar level. And if the Jets do want to delegate a ton of money to a Marcus Williams or continue to invest in the offensive line or bring in, one of these star edge rushers, or hey, maybe even trade for a DK Metcalf and sign him to an extension, right? We lock up a ton of money elsewhere and we need some depth at corner. I think Herndon could be an option. And then DJ Reed from the Seattle Seahawks. There's obviously that solid connection, a ton of experience playing in that Pete Carroll style of defense. He's done a great job in zone coverage. I would look at Reed as a name to watch as well. He's a guy that I'm a big fan of. I honestly thought he was going to be back with Seattle. He could very well end up back in Seattle, but I felt like it was going to be done by now. And then last but not least, center/guard Bradley Bozeman from the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, yes, we did add Laken Tomlinson, and he's going to be playing right guard for the team next year, AVT at left guard. But there's been, I feel like there's been a lot of noise surrounding Connor McGovern, right? $10 million this season, or a $10.3 million cap hit. If the Jets part ways with him, they would save $9 million on the cap. Okay, so if the Jets bring in Bozeman, you can make the argument that you can maybe even save some money here and upgrade at the center spot. I think Bozeman, when I look at maybe a contract projection, I would say anywhere from $10, $11, $12 million annually. You look at what Ryan Jensen just got from Tampa Bay. Did he even take a hometown discount to stay with Tampa? I don't know, because of the Brady news, right? Him coming out of retirement. I don't really know how that negotiation process worked, but man, Bozeman, I think he would come in and do a great job anchoring that middle of the interior. And, this is if we can nail the offensive line, but when it's all said and done, by the time next season starts, I think we're going to be in a great position moving forward. We have to protect Zach Wilson at the end of the day. And number two, this offense is built on the running game, right? Built off of the play action. So, you have to have solid offensive line play. If you're getting blown up, if you're handing the ball off for no gain or a gain of 1 every single play, is like everything is in shambles at that point. So, and also, obviously for Zach Wilson's development moving forward, you can't have another Derek Carr situation. Zach Wilson got sacked a lot last year, not putting it all on the offensive line. At times he held the ball for way too long, but a good offensive line never's a bad thing. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Who are some of the targets that you want the Jets to look at in day 2 of free agency? And news could break literally at any given second. So it should be exciting. It should be fun. Oh, real quick before I end the video, I do want to throw this in there. Backup quarterback, Joe Flacco, Mike White, at least bring in one. I want to lock up that position. Although I could see it maybe happening day 3, day 4, maybe day 5 or something. But, we saw Teddy Bridgewater go to the Miami Dolphins yesterday on a really, really team-friendly deal. I don't want us to overlook that. Right, because if we lose Mike White, if we lose Joe Flacco, I think all of a sudden we'd have to pivot and now try to figure out what we're going to be doing with a veteran backup, much like we did last season when, James Morgan was unproven, Mike White was unproven, and then we had to, part ways with a late round pick to acquire Joe Flacco. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.